Am I the antagonist for going inside the elevator even though I was told not to? Today, I, a 27-year-old female, was on the 12th floor of a shopping center. I was waiting for the elevator. After a long wait, there was no sign of the elevator. Finally, an elevator arrived. I wanted to go inside, but one of the women inside started protesting. "Don't come inside. There isn't any place left." I easily stepped inside without touching or pressing against anyone to get inside, and the doors easily shut behind me. She started talking. "You're stepping on my shoes." I looked down and said, I'm not even touching you." There was a full hand's distance between us. She continued, "Having some common sense is a good thing. Our society is like this because of common senselessness like this." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Yes, I completely agree. Common senseless people are the worst." The door opened, and someone else wanted to come in. She said in a snappy tone, "Go on. Let her come inside too." I pressed myself to the side and another passenger boarded. There was still enough space between all of us. She started again, saying to me, "Why did you step inside when the elevator is so full? Do you lack common sense? The problem of our society is people like you." I replied, "Miss, look, there is enough distance between us, and if there was too much weight, the elevator would ring an alarm." She mockingly laughed at me. "That's not the issue. Can't you understand? Are you stupid? You lack a brain." I told her that she was the senseless one and she could get off if she didn't like it. She continued to insult me and told me that she was there first. Some other people near her were smiling in amusement, enjoying the show. I think they were a group. Finally, I had enough and shouted in anger, "Shut your mouth." She fell silent, and every smile was wiped away in an instant. A few seconds later, she said, "The best answer for idiots is silence." Before I could say anything else, another passenger said, "That's enough. Stop disrespecting each other." I stayed silent. Did I lose the argument? So was I at fault here? Should I have waited for another elevator? Was I in the wrong for not listening to her and stepping inside? In this amusing yet somewhat frustrating anecdote, it seems like you were caught in a high-rise version of the classic elevator dilemma. Your 12th floor saga plays out like a real-life sitcom episode. From your account, it appears that you handled the situation with grace and tried to diffuse the tension humorously. However, it's clear that the other woman had a different approach to elevator etiquette. Admittedly, elevator encounters can be awkward, but it sounds like this lady took it to the next level. In terms of fault, it seems like a case of differing opinions on personal space and common sense. Should you have waited for the next elevator? Possibly. But hey, you saw a gap, you took the chance, and you made it fit. Kudos for your spatial awareness. Ultimately, in the grand elevator opera of life, sometimes you just have to press the mute button on unnecessary conflicts like these. So in the grand scheme of things, it might be best to let this particular ride down to ground level remain as a quirky anecdote rather than a debate on who is right or wrong. After all, life's too short for elevator altercations. Am I the antagonist for wanting to invite my best friend to my daughter's birthday parties? My best friend and brother-in-law had a fling 8 years ago. They talked long distance for 5 months. He was the one to lead the relationship, expressing affection and hopes for the future first. She traveled 6 hours to see him for a first visit, and he ghosted her on the trip because she didn't want to move the relationship as quickly as him, full well knowing she's like a sister to me and would remain a part of my life. He reached out a few months later to apologize to her. They made amends and left things amicably. They are both married now to better-fitting partners and both have recently had their first child. For my first daughter's first birthday, 6 years later, brother-in-law called me to tell me that if my best friend was going to be there, he would not be coming and asked me to uninvite her. I told him I was sorry, but she's already 4 hours into a road trip to be here. I'm not going to uninvite her. He told me I was choosing friends over family, and he couldn't believe I was choosing her over him. She and I talk every day, and I grew up with her, and he is often rude to me and my husband, and only reaches out when he needs something from us. My husband defended her right to be there, and was very supportive the first time around, and brother-in-law ultimately agreed to come anyways, though he wasn't happy about it. She came to the first party, they ignored each other, and everything was fine. My brother-in-law has barely acknowledged or spoken to me in the 2 years since. When I tried to reach out to tell him I care about him and want us to all be able to get along, I felt more like a nuisance than anything, and he said he was fine and told me to drop it. Fast forward to today and we are planning my daughter's first and third birthday parties. My best friend is moving to the area after years apart and will be much more present in our lives. My husband wants us to celebrate the girls' birthdays with his family, a large close-knit family, uncles, aunts, cousins, nieces, nephews, and my mom and dad and no one else. He has suggested we celebrate separately with my friend and her husband and child to avoid drama. I can't imagine keeping my best friend in a box the rest of our lives and don't think it's fair or right to exclude my best friend from my daughter's party, to avoid angering my brother-in-law, especially when he has been historically rude to us, and she has done nothing wrong to anyone. Now my husband is getting stressed and having negative feelings about her being there, seeing her as a source of issues, which upsets me. He has a huge, loving family we are active with often. We see his parents and brother-in-law 1-3 times a week. We do very little with my parents because they are less involved and my best friend is the closest thing to family I have outside of them. It doesn't feel fair that he gets to enjoy unrestricted time with and include his family in every aspect of our lives. I'm fine with this, I do love his family. But because of my brother-in-law, my ability to include my best friend is limited. Am I the asshole? It sounds like you're in a sticky situation, but hey, at least it's not the peanut butter covered with honey kind of sticky. It's understandable that you want to include your best friend in your daughter's birthday parties since she's like family to you. Your brother-in-law seems to have some unresolved issues, and it's not fair for him to dictate who you can invite to celebrate such important milestones. Your husband should try to be a bit more understanding and see that your best friend holds a special place in your life. It's also important for you to communicate openly and honestly with your husband about your feelings and the importance of having your best friend there. In the end, it's your daughter's birthdays, and you should be able to celebrate them surrounded by those you care about. It's not fair for your brother-in-law to hold such sway over who you can invite. So, no, you're not the asshole in this situation. Keep your sense of humor intact and stand your ground in including your best friend in the celebrations. Am I the antagonist for not wanting to take care of my siblings for the rest of my life? I, 23 years old female, am currently finishing my last semester of my education degree and am planning to start my career in September. My parents, male 56 years old and female 50 years old, and my siblings, female 21 years old and male 18 years old, currently live in my small hometown, but will be moving to a larger center in August when my parents retire. My plans are to return to my hometown to start my career as a teacher, as it will be easier to get a full-time job compared to where my family will be moving. My chances are quite high, as I have a desired teachable subject, and I've already been working as a substitute teacher within the school I hope to teach in during my breaks between semesters. My parents are totally against this idea, as they feel I should move with them. My siblings are both on the autism spectrum, and as a result do not have a job. This is not due to their diagnoses, however. Both siblings have expressed interest in never working, and simply living with our parents until they pass. After that, they both plan to come and move in with me. My parents are totally fine with this plan, as they are special and need the extra support, which I am not arguing. However, I do not feel it is fair to expect me to just accept this fate for myself. Despite their diagnoses, they are both able to be functional with the right kind of support. At the moment, all they do is sleep till 5 p.m. and play video games until the early hours of the morning. Both have had jobs in the past, however, have quit for reasons such as not wanting to work, not wanting to get up for a shift, and for not being willing to follow directions from a supervisor. My parents fully support this and expect me to take care of them and all of their needs when I am home from school so that they can have a break. As my family prepares for the move, discussions have come about talking about future plans. My parents are very unsupportive of me moving back to my hometown to pursue my career, as they want to retire with an empty nest. In order to do this, they want me to move with them, move into the basement apartment of their retirement house with both of my siblings, and be their full-time caregiver. It is simply the expectation, and as I have started to push back on the idea, they have started to try and manipulate me into doing it by telling me that education is a horrible career decision, that no one in town likes them so I will be unable to get a job, etc. Am I the asshole for not wanting this? I don't feel it's fair for this to be the expectation of me given the fact that I have worked to put myself through school, passed all the classes, and am now almost ready to start my own life. But based on what my parents are telling me, I'm not quite sure. Dear Op, 23F. It sounds like you're in a bit of a sticky situation with your family. On one hand, you have your career aspirations and dreams of starting your own life. And on the other hand, you have your parents and siblings who seem to have their own expectations of you. It's totally understandable that you want to pursue your career as a teacher and establish your independence apart from your family. It's commendable that you've worked hard to put yourself through school and secured a job in your desired field. It's also important to consider your own happiness and well-being when making decisions about your future. It's evident that your parents have a unique plan for their retirement and care for your siblings, but it's okay for you to have your own ambitions and boundaries. You shouldn't feel guilty for wanting to follow your own path and build your career where you see fit. Ultimately, it's essential to communicate openly and honestly with your family about your feelings and aspirations. It might be helpful to express your concerns and desires calmly and respectfully to ensure that your perspective is heard. Remember, it's okay to prioritize yourself and your goals. Good luck! Would I be the asshole for discouraging my partner's art career? I, 28 years old female, love my boyfriend. 27 years old male, very much. He is a very empathetic and idealistic guy. He studied art history and is now trying to make a name for himself as an artist, paintings primarily. I myself am a little more pragmatic, also idealistic. I am a human rights lawyer, but I feel that his attempts at becoming an artist are very naive. The problem started when he finished studying. I had no problem with him studying art history, though I do feel like that it's risky with limited career options, combined with the fact he assembled over €80,000 student debt, as he didn't work much on the side and got no support from his parents. I myself studied law and worked on the side and was lucky enough to have parents that supported me, so I assembled no student loan. After finishing his studies, I thought he would try to get a junior job at a museum, or maybe he would end up working in a more boring government job if things didn't work out in the art scene. However, for the last 3 years, he has been working 2 days in a boring administrative job for minimum wage and spent the other 3 days making paintings. I am no expert in paintings, but I really feel that he isn't a very good artist. I never tell him so, of course, but I also don't often express enthusiasm about his work. His attempts, however, to sell paintings or to be included in expositions have been very unfruitful, and I have been considering how to express my concern without being a horrible girlfriend. I can sometimes feel really angry when I get home from my hard job. I often work long hours, 5 days a week, and see him playing Xbox on the couch or finishing a painting that looks bad. It makes me feel like I am working hard for our shared future. We are not sure whether we want to have kids together, but we haven't ruled out the idea, whereas he seems to be slacking. I have gotten angry 1 or 2 times in more minor ways. I am not a fan of conflict, but we always talked it out, and I ended up apologizing. Recently, I have just felt like I can't take the frustration anymore. What to do? Would I be the asshole if I told him to quit making art? I must say, this situation sounds like quite the creative conundrum, like a painting with many layers of complexity. It seems you and your boyfriend have different strokes when it comes to career paths, one drawn to the practicality of law, the other chasing the colorful dream of art. It's like a clash of Monet meets Matlock. While it's understandable that you may feel frustrated seeing him focus on his passion while you grind away at your demanding job, communication is key here. It's important to express your concerns in a constructive and supportive manner, like a subtle brushstroke that guides him towards a clearer canvas. Perhaps a candid conversation about your worries for the future and the financial implications of his artistic pursuits can help both of you understand each other's perspectives better. Who knows, maybe you can find a compromise that paints a brighter picture for your shared journey ahead. In the end, it's all about finding a balance between supporting his artistic ambitions and ensuring a stable future for both of you. Remember, relationships are like a masterpiece in progress. They require patience, understanding, and a touch of humor to bring out the beauty in every stroke. Am I the antagonist for refusing to go on an expensive trip with my partner while his father is dying in the hospital? I, female 30, and my partner, male 38, have been in a relationship for 9 years. For the past 4 years it has been bad. He has been controlling, obsessive, and abusive. I started working in his businesses at the beginning, but now I manage most of it. I started a second online job during the pandemic, and I really enjoyed it as it was something truly mine. Everything else in my life involved him. He and his family are very wealthy. They have been kind and supportive of us. They have taken us on many expensive trips over the years. They allowed us to live in their favorite house together while they reside in one of their other houses. They are elderly and have declining health. I have helped them in many ways as best I can and am in debt to them. We made a surprise renovation to their favorite house. It is old and has been in their family for generations. At this time, I managed 2 jobs and a full house renovation. They came back and were surprised and pleased. They also wanted to prepare for a trip to a resort in Egypt. However, his father was not feeling well and went to the doctor. There, they found he had blocked arteries in his heart and needs an operation. First, they said it is nothing serious. We were worried. We discussed, and his mother wants to stay and be with him and for us to go instead of them so they don't waste the money, and we deserved it after the restoration. I was hesitant but agreed. I had already taken many days off from my second job during the renovation. I was not sure if I can take more off. The boss was understanding, but let me know he still needs some help with work. So I told him I will try to work from Egypt. However, my partner said he does not want to spoil the trip with work. By the next day, they tell us his father is getting worse and needs a complicated and risky operation. He is slowly deteriorating, and they tell us it's a very high risk since he is old and has a weak heart. So we discussed again, and my partner said there is nothing we can do to change the situation, so we will go. His mother is indifferent. His brother said it is a family emergency, and we must stick together. I agreed with him and said it's best to stay. So a huge argument starts and my partner blames me for choosing the second job over him. He says my concern for his father is a lie. Now he tells me I am the asshole for changing my mind at the last minute and wasting a lot of money by not going. My dear, you are not the antagonist, not the a-hole, in this situation. It sounds like you've been juggling a lot, managing 2 jobs, renovating a house, and navigating a complex family dynamic. Your partner's behavior is concerning, especially when he tries to guilt-trip you for prioritizing your job and expressing genuine concerns for his father. In times like these, a bit of humor can lighten the mood, but the heart of the matter remains serious. It's essential to take care of yourself and assert your needs in the relationship. While it's understandable that family emergencies can be stressful and emotions can run high, blaming you and calling you names is not acceptable. It's essential to have open and honest communication with your partner, especially when dealing with such delicate situations. Your concerns and feelings are valid, and it's essential to prioritize your well-being and boundaries. Remember, it's okay to stand up for yourself and seek support when needed. Am I the antagonist for telling my friend to stop making comments about my diet exercise? My friend Emma and I are both females, 23 years old. We've been friends since elementary school, so practically grew up together. In recent years, I've gotten really into fitness. I started lifting weights as my pandemic hobby and grew more passionate about it from there. Emma is not super active and never was. I was similar to an extent in that regard. I was always active but never sporty, so we shared a hatred of gym class as little kids. Once I started getting further into fitness, my diet shifted in many ways, and the healthier I ate, the more I lost any cravings for processed foods I used to like, such as fried foods, sugary drinks, and sugary desserts. I also started centering most of my meals around protein since I'm lifting weights. Emma has always said she's young, so she doesn't feel the need to eat healthy. I think she views healthier meals as bland and for middle-aged people, since she has said things about how maybe she'll eventually like that stuff when she's her parents' age. She also doesn't work out at all for the same reasons. I've never said anything judgmental about it to her because I believe people should eat what fulfills them and be active at the levels they're comfortable with. However, she's super judgmental to my face about my own diet and fitness. If we go out to eat and I order a salad or chicken or even brown rice instead of white rice, she'll always be like, just order what you really want. And then when I tell her that's what I'm doing, she rolls her eyes. She's made comments about how I'm too young to be eating so healthy and implies that I have a problem. When I go over to her house for dinner, she always offers dessert, which I take her up on every now and then depending on what it is. But when I do accept dessert, she always overportions and then gets upset and makes rude comments if I don't finish it. She also dislikes when I bring up the gym exercise around her, so I've pretty much stopped doing that. Not that I ever did it a lot in the first place. But if we're hanging out and she asks me what I did that day and going to the gym is part of it, she's like, "Why would you do that? That's crazy," or "You know you can skip the gym more often." Once I helped Emma's mom carry something really heavy that they were going to wait until Emma's dad got home to have him move. And her mom said I was strong and asked if it's from lifting weights. And Emma got huffy and made a comment about how it's still not worth suffering for. It's frustrating because I'm very mindful and respectful of her own lifestyle and never make comments about it. It got to the point where I feel judged around Emma so often. During our last hangout, she made a comment, and I told her she's been making me feel judged for a while and that I respect her lifestyle and expect to get that same thing back. She told me it's not the same because mine is not normal and got extremely upset and isn't talking to me. I will admit I was out of patience, so my tone and everything wasn't the nicest when I confronted her. You are definitely not the asshole in this situation. It's clear that you have made positive changes in your life for your own well-being, and there is nothing wrong with that. It's important to surround yourself with people who support and uplift you, rather than tear you down. Emma's reaction to your lifestyle choices seems to stem from her own insecurities and discomfort with change. It's understandable that she may feel defensive when confronted with your healthy habits, especially if she is not currently active or mindful of her diet. However, her behavior towards you is not acceptable. It's one thing to jokingly tease a friend about their choices, but it's another to consistently make rude comments and belittle someone for taking care of themselves. It's clear that she is projecting her own issues onto you, which is unfair and hurtful. You did the right thing by addressing the situation and expressing how you feel. It's important to set boundaries and stand up for yourself when someone's behavior is making you feel judged or uncomfortable. It's unfortunate that Emma reacted defensively and is now refusing to talk to you, but hopefully, with time, she will come to realize how her actions have impacted your friendship. In the meantime, surround yourself with people who uplift and support you on your fitness journey. Remember that taking care of yourself is important, and you deserve to be surrounded by people who respect and encourage that. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.